All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back at it, bringing you another video. And in this video today, we are going to go over two trade reviews, hopefully, and maybe some analysis for next week. To be honest, I'm just going to be shooting from the hip. So let's get straight into it. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about price action around supply and demand, and also maybe one or two trade reviews on top of that, right? So before we get started, though, just want to say thank you so much because we did hit 5,000 subscribers. That's a big milestone, right? I feel like 5,000 subscribers is like it has that girth to say like, oh wow, this guy has a YouTube channel, you know? It's not like you hear somebody say, oh yeah, you got a YouTube channel? How many subscribers you got? And they say like, oh, they got like, oh, I got 196, or I got 42, or I got 400. 5,000 is like, okay, this guy's been making some videos, right? So I got some girth behind me now, so I appreciate everybody that's liked the videos, subscribed with the notifications, and all that. Comments, the like to dislike ratio, man, it's absolutely amazing. I think I'm rocking like a 98% like to dislike ratio. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. If you do like the videos, always give them a thumbs up, right? If you don't, then give it a thumbs down, right? I'm not going to tell you to smash that like button. What I want you to do is to take action. Decide if you want to like it or dislike it. Don't just stand there, okay? So with that said, let's get straight into it. So thank you so much for that 5,000. I really do appreciate it. Let's get into this. Aussie USD, Euro USD. What did I want to talk about? Okay, so this was a trade that I talked about in the private group. We were talking about kind of the price action behind this Euro USD and how it looks like Aussie USD. So let's actually do this because this is a trade. I'm not sure if I talked about this in my trade review. Let's remove that and go like this. I'm not sure if I talked about it in my trade review about 2 weeks ago or not, but let's talk about it here. Because when I was doing my analysis, I noticed that Euro USD had the exact same like chart layout. It looked exactly the same as Aussie USD did about 5 days ago, 10 days ago. So here on Aussie USD, this is where I took a pullback back into this demand zone right here on the 1 hour. We will go back and look at it, right? As you can see, this Euro USD and this Aussie USD, it looks the same from basically this period right here, right? That period to that period. So that's what I'm referring to, okay? So when we look here on Euro USD, actually, hold on, let's go back to Aussie USD. And what I liked about this is not only it looked the same, but I was noticing these impulse move corrections, impulse move correction, impulse move correction, impulse move, right? The impulse coming after the correction and the correction coming after the impulse, right? So what I was noticing is these impulse moves are 160 up, the correction is 140 pips down, the next impulse is 170 up, correction is 100, call it 140, impulse 160, the next correction was 140. So when I saw this going 140 back down, back previously for the last 3 times, it has done the exact same correction move right before the next impulsive move, right? So we saw prices coming into an area of demand. We are 160 pips up to the upside, and then we're averaging 140 pip down to the downside, right? So we are slowly going up. So prices came back down into this area of demand. Hopefully you can see it, right? Drop, base, rally. This is the daily time frame. So that's why I was looking for buying pullbacks right here. Prices just made 140 pip correction move. So that's why I want to be a buyer now. So what I did is I said, okay, this correction move has happened. It moved 140 pips to the downside. So I want to start looking for buying opportunities because I believe the correction move is done. And we are also sitting inside a demand zone in a daily uptrend, right? So we respect daily demand zones in a daily uptrend. So we are now back into it, right? So this is just understanding maybe my higher time frame using the daily as my biggest time frame. So what I did was I went down to my 1 hour. I said, okay, I know I'm basically inside an area where I want to be a buyer. Let's remove this. And what I started to notice was, well, momentum lines being broken, supply zones being removed like this. That's telling me that prices are starting to turn from inside out. This drop-based rally, buyers were starting to take control. We just talked about that higher time frame, right? I believe that this correction is going to come to an end. So that means I'm going to start seeing smaller time frames, meaning the 4-hour, the 1 hour, the 15 minutes start to turn, right? So that's exactly what we started to see. We start to see the 1 hour time frame starting to break, downward momentum lines being broken, opposing zones being removed. And so I like this demand zone, drop-based rally. Love it. Absolutely love it. Unfortunately, I did not nearly come close to actually capturing this whole move. Not even close. But you know what? It was a winner. I'll take it. Okay. It was basically just a quick 1-to-1, I think 2-to-1. Then I got out. But yeah, it definitely would have been nice if I could hold it all the way up here. But sadly, that did not happen. Okay. So I'm not sure if I did that trade review or not. So now let's go back here into the Euro USD and talk about how this exactly looks the exact same. Does that make sense? So this looks exactly the same as Aussie USD. Okay, so what do we have? We have imbalance 230 pips. The correction is 189. Imbalance is 240 pips. Correction is 220. Imbalance is 260 pips. Correction is 220 right now. So we're averaging, between 190 and about 230 pips for the correction moves. Okay. And our imbalances are, what are they averaging? 230 to basically 260, we'll call it. So obviously we're trending to the upside, and prices have just made a 230 pip move correction, right? Back into an area of demand. So let's just remove that. So hopefully you can see this kind of upward momentum. That's the momentum, right? Some people would say that's a channel, whatever you want to call it. We're bouncing off the bottom of the channel. I see it as we just came off of a correction move. We are now sitting inside an area of demand, drop-based rally. So do you notice how this starts looking the same? Where's this daily time frame? Let's remove everything, right? So notice how that looks the same, right? Hopefully you start to understand this. That looks the same as this demand zone. Now, does this mean that prices are going to do this? No, not at all. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it did this, and I wouldn't be surprised if it did that. Right? I really don't care. I try to have zero expectations in this game, but I do see prices sitting inside this daily demand after a 230 pip correction, what we just talked about. Right? So we're trending to the upside. We just got a 230 pip move to the downside. Or what do we say? Yeah, 230, 190 or something like that. We're trending up. We're inside demand, so I want to be a buyer. So what some people in the private group did was, I believe they took this buying opportunity. It was a bit aggressive for me. I didn't get in, but they did well on it. So I think that was their buy pullback right here. They bought here on that pullback. Okay. Now I mentioned to them like I probably would have done something like that, but just for it's less aggressive because you would have had more move to the upside and more evidence of buyers stepping in, but it's totally fine. I didn't get in this trade. I got in a gold one that I believe I tweeted at. But yeah, okay, so let's go into maybe some analysis now. Enough trade reviews. Let's look at the dollar. I think same thing with the dollar. Long term, if we look at the monthly time frame, we can clearly see monthly supply is up here and an area of monthly demand is not till down in here. Okay, so higher time frame. I know we just started September, so this is why we're kind of looking at the higher time frame. So monthly supply, monthly demand, we are getting low. But to be honest, I don't see any opposing demand zone until down here. Weekly demand's not till down here. Daily demand's probably not till down here. But weekly's to a downtrend. The daily's to the downtrend. And you know what's interesting about this daily? As we just talked about on the Euro USD, it's exactly what's happening on the dollar, so the currency pair. So here, 150 point move to the downside, 140 pip correction, 175 pip imbalance again. Correction is 133 pips. Imbalance is 170 pips. So now we are probably going to assume that there's going to be a correction now based on previous history, right? We're making 150, 175, 170 pip moves, and then we get a correction of about 130 pips. So this is when I was saying, hey, hey guys, we might be getting a correction here. We just made a move, and now prices have gone 139 pips. Where is this correction going into? It's going into an area of supply. So this is why I would be bearish. This pair, or the dollar, like the whole dollar, for possibly the next 2-3 days, for this next imbalance. Hopefully this is what I'm projecting, is something like that, right? And again, it could go all the way up again, but this is just what I see. I see these imbalance correction, imbalance correction, imbalance correction, with lots of room to go to the downside. Like, I don't see any demand in here really to hold. Sure, you might have some small pockets of demand, but what's interesting about this is you are in a daily downtrend. Do you respect daily demand zones in a daily downtrend? No, you remove them. But we can assume that you will get these pullbacks, right? These correction moves. So maybe prices will go into this little rally-based rally daily demand. It will hold for a short period, but then it will continue lower. I have no idea. But right now, with prices currently where it's at, we have a strong drop in price. That's telling me there is a lot of sellers in this area. So I want to be a seller. Okay. So maybe looking at your lower time frame, I still haven't seen all the evidence of sellers coming in yet. Like we talked about, this is going to be inverse from one another. Let's just remove this. It's going to be a little bit of inverse from that Euro USD we talked about. Some people caught that short. So in Euro USD, it would be a demand zone because you would be buying the euro and selling the US dollar. So in this case, we're looking strictly at the US dollar. So this would be a supply zone. As of now, for me to seriously consider a short, I need to see this happening, that. Okay, and then I'll try to catch any supply zones. This demand is still holding, right? We're kind of making these imbalance up, correction, imbalance up. So I need to see this imbalance over. You know what I mean? Let's see. Oh, there was such a good trade on. I don't know if you guys are still listening to this. You guys are getting a good video. Thing is, I don't like, what is this called? German. This was a trade I was watching today. I didn't take any trades on Friday. But I usually don't like making YouTube videos unless, I actually want to make a YouTube video that I think is valuable. I don't want to just make a YouTube video just to keep the subscribers happy or keep the algos going. I know it's probably a smart thing to do, but I really don't want to just like plug and play a video, right? Maybe if I was traveling, sure, I would love to throw a travel video in there, but I don't like to just make a video just for the sake of making a video if I don't think it's going to be a good video. That's just what I believe. But okay, so what is this? German. I saw this area of 4-hour demand, but I think this is what it was. I didn't end up pulling the trigger on this because I didn't like the higher time frame. That 4-hour demand just kind of sketched me out, so I said, nah, not today. So that's the area of demand, right? We started to see sellers coming in. Let's just draw it like this. We started to see buyers coming in because we started to see the loss of downward momentum, right? And opposing supply zones being removed. So that's telling me, okay, buyers are starting to step in. And notice this strong imbalance, right? Drop, base, rally, very strong, right? That's telling me that there's a lot of buyers down in this area. Okay, so that's where I want to be a buyer at. Why would I not want to be a seller here? You might be thinking, oh, well, if you're saying you want to be a buyer at these strong imbalances, why would you not want to be a seller here? You're in a downtrend. You're coming back into 30-minute supply. And I would say, okay, well, the reason I wouldn't want to be a seller is because we're located inside a higher time frame demand zone. we're located inside a 4-hour demand zone. So this goes back to what I teach you guys in the free mini course. If you guys actually haven't gone and see the free mini course, I recommend doing it. It's a full-on supply and demand. It's about 3 hours worth of videos that have not been used on YouTube. I welcome you. I talk about the supply and demand basics. Very important lesson 2, multiple time frame analysis. That's exactly what I was just talking about. And trends, right? It summarizes all my little tips videos I have on YouTube. Like if you ever go to my YouTube video, go to my playlist and check out my tips videos right here, supply and demand. It basically puts all those videos into a 3-hour one, but they're not just the same videos. I completely start from scratch. So they're videos that nobody's seen before. So multiple time frame analysis and trends. Each lesson is about, I think, 40 minutes long or something like that. So it is like 3 hours worth of videos. Lesson 3, look at the weekly prep and trade reviews. So then I talk about how I actually put everything together. So it's an excellent free little mini course for you guys to go into. I strongly recommend it. I haven't heard any bad reviews. So that's great. If you guys want to leave your comments on it, feel free to let me know. Everybody seems to love it, so feel free to check that out. I will leave that in the link down below, okay? Yeah, I think that basically covers everything. Let's see if we can quickly bang out anything else. Well, you know what? Let's just end it here. You know what? Since we're right here on Canadian, that's a nice little 4-hour supply, and that's a nice little 4-hour supply. So maybe looking at daily income trades, I will be looking at selling this thing and looking for sells in here. So if we go to like USD CAD, we're probably going to be in demand. Yeah. So USD CAD, it's like this demand zone and that demand zone. So if you go and watch that mini course that I have, you will understand what I'm going to be doing now. Okay. So I will let you guys go with that. Like I said before, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Subscribing, liking, notifications, asking for help, joining the private community. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Grab yourself a beer. It's been a long week. It's a long weekend next week. Monday's off. If you are listening to this before Monday, Canadian markets are closed and American markets are closed. So grab a beer, enjoy the weekend, do whatever you want to do. All right. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.